All right, I wanted to give a lengthy explanation, discussion on nutsedge, also known as nutgrass in the beds. So, nutsedge, I'm gonna see if I can dig one up while I'm talking. Nutsedge grows from an underground nut. That's why it's called nutsedge. It's not a grass and it's not a broadleaf weed, it's a sedge. It's a type of weed all in its own category. If I was prepared, I would have had a little shovel to get this thing out quicker. But you'll also get to see just practically here why it's so difficult to hand pull, because that nut is so far underground. Good gracious, it's down there. No, it broke off. So when you hand pull it, you don't get to see the nut. That nut's still there, the nut's alive. So you hand pull it, more comes up. I want to talk to you about spraying though. Hand pulling just makes it worse. Just like pruning a tree, it's just going to throw up more branches, more leaves, and so now that nut is about to produce more leaves. But what kills grasses and broadleaf weeds does not kill sedges. What kills sedges does not always kill all of the grasses and broadleaf weeds. So that's what's fun about this. But what I really want to talk to you about is, I want to give you some really practical information on how to control it, why it's difficult to control. So here we have a bunch of weeds that we spray in the beds. We spray once a month, and nutsedge is one of the reasons why we spray once a month, because you'll spray it and you'll kill it. We've got dead nutsedge that we sprayed 11 days ago. Let's see, or dying still from 11 days ago. Some of it's dead, down dead to the ground. Some of it looks like we missed it. But what I want to show you is that when you show up to spray nutsedge, you don't always see everything that's there. There's some nutsedge that's way down there. You know, it could have been covered by a leaf. It may, you know, if you sprayed and you spray from this angle, you may not have gotten every square inch around the weed. And so when you're spot spraying, which is what you have to do in beds, you can't just spray weed killer all in this bed, especially if there's other and closer plants around. You really want to spot spray to help avoid drift and other reasons as well. But anyway, when you're here to spray, you don't see that guy. So you don't spray that one, you spray this one. And then in 2 or 3 days, this one's so much bigger. Perhaps this one is 1 or 2 days old. This one maybe 3 days old, 4 days old, 5 days old. Who knows all the progression of the nutsedge in this bed. But it looks like, you know, 5 or 10 days later, like, man, you missed all these spots. But really, they were just so small you didn't see them. There's so many little baby nutsedge that's just coming up that's just hard to see when you're here to spray the bed as a whole. Let me do a zoomed out version of that one particular one right there. So right there, you come out here, man, you can't see that. And so have some grace on your spray guys. Spray guys, if you're watching this, know that nutsedge is a beast to battle with. There is a pre-emerge for it. You have to really be up to speed on whether or not, this is yellow jasmine, whether or not your surrounding shrubs can tolerate the pre-emerge or not. You will damage plants, which is why, for the most part, we just don't use any pre-emerge. If we know we have a bed like this that's really out in the open, we can put pre-emerge just right here to really reduce the amount of nutsedge that comes up. And for some of you out there who might be like, what, there's a pre-emerge for nutsedge? Well, for the yard, if you put that in the yard, you're gonna have to charge 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times, depending on how much you're currently charging your customers for weed control, the normal price. That's because the product, the nutsedge pre-emerge, it's not economical. So for all intents and purposes, there's not a pre-emerge for it, because nobody wants to pay twice or thrice of what they're already paying. But that's how much the pre-emerge nutsedge product costs, and it's not even safe for all types of turf. And so it's just, essentially, there's no pre-emerge for nutsedge, except, as always with weed control, there's always the except. It will at least help reduce, if not really reduce your nutsedge growth by using it in the beds. So that's why we do monthly sprays. I started off trying to do 6 times a year on beds. Now we do 9. Some commercial properties we do closer to 18 or 14 because they really don't want to see this coming up 2 weeks later. But I hope that gives you some understanding on landscape bed weed control, and specifically nutsedge. All right, so I'm here 3 days later. Tuesday is when I shot the first video. This is Friday, so we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days later. And this is that little weed that I was telling you about that was so teeny tiny you couldn't see it. And now it's really there and it's really visible. And there's actually these weeds. I studied the video for several minutes here to make sure I wasn't crazy, but these were not in the video. This one was not there because it was just way down into the ground and it's already up. And so just wanted to come back a few days later to show you that, like, you can spray even 3 days earlier and think you sprayed it all, but these guys just weren't even there for you to be able to spray. And so much less think 6 days, 14 days, 21 days later, it's like, man, what did you guys do last month? But we sprayed, it's just that new ones came up.